Okay, so imagine the start of a movie like Independence Day. You get this massive 5,000-meter alien mothership appearing over the city.
Total chaos.
Right. Panic, destruction, 80,000 people are gone, just like that. But then the movie doesn't happen. The aliens just stay. They just hover there for 3 years.
And that's the incredible premise for what we're diving into today. Inio Asano's Dead Demons, Dead Destruction.
We're just dead for short.
Yeah, thank goodness. And it's such a fascinating flip of the sci-fi genre. You know, usually an alien invasion is the start of this big heroic story. Here, it's the start of boredom. The story begins with this huge catastrophe, the 8.31 incident. But instead of a war, we just watch this emergency slowly kind of calcify into the new normal.
And that stagnation is everything. The mothership isn't a threat anymore. It's just part of the Tokyo skyline now. It's just parked over Shibuya.
You still have the military, the self-defense forces, in these little skirmishes with what they call invaders, but for most people.
Life just goes on. Their biggest stress isn't aliens. It's university entrance exams or video games.
Which brings us to the two protagonists at the center of all this apathy. First, you have Kadode Koyama. She's, on the surface, this very ordinary girl.
Just trying to get by. She's got a crush on her teacher, worrying about her future, even though her own father actually went missing on 8.31.
And then there's her best friend, Oran Nakagawa, who everyone calls Antan.
Antan is something else.
Yeah.
Total opposite. She's this twin-tailed gamer who talks in internet slang, and she's a perfect example of a chunibyo.
Which, yeah, we should probably unpack that term. It's basically middle school second year syndrome.
Or 8th grade syndrome, yeah.
It's that phase where teenagers have these delusions of grandeur, you know, like they have secret powers or dark destiny. Antan literally says her goal is to become a dictator and terrorize humanity.
But in this world, it doesn't just feel like a phase. It feels like, I don't know, a necessary coping mechanism.
Totally. And the anime adaptation really captured that chaotic energy. The source is 12 manga volumes, and they adapted it into a 2-part film and an 18-episode series.
And for the leads, they did something really interesting. They didn't cast traditional voice actors.
Right. They got singer-songwriters, Leela Sikuda for the more reserved Kadode, and the artist Ano for the totally manic Antan.
That choice was brilliant, I think. It gives their dialogue this, like, rougher, more real texture. It helps ground them.
It absolutely does, which gets us to the core of why this series is so compelling. It's that constant friction, the vibe of the mundane rubbing up against the apocalyptic.
They're stressing about an FPS game while the world is literally slowly ending right above their heads.
And the black humor is so sharp.
Yeah.
Especially with the aliens, the invaders.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we call them invaders, but they look like toddlers
Yeah.
in little space helmets.
Right.
And they're incredibly weak. The war is so one-sided, it's almost sickening.
It really makes you question who the real monsters are in this situation.
And society just splinters over it. You get these protest groups like SHIP that want to protect the invaders, and then you have others who are actively hunting them. It feels like a perfect satire of, you know, modern political polarization.
And also apathy. The ship is leaking this stuff called array, which is basically radiation poisoning the atmosphere.
But nobody cares.
Nobody cares because, just like in real life, you can't see it, so you just go to work. You have bills to pay.
Asano even puts a manga inside the manga to comment on this. It's called Isobeyan.
Wow, which is such a cynical take on Doraemon. It's so blatant.
Totally. Instead of a helpful robot cat from the future, you get this weird mushroom creature whose gadgets are just dark and useless. Like he's screaming that there's no magic fix coming.
And that's reflected in the art style too, right? He's famous for these hyper-realistic backgrounds, almost photoreal. But the characters in front of them are drawn so cartoonishly, like their eyes are too close together or their teeth are huge. It's this perfect visual of their headspace trying to live a normal, cartoonish life inside a photorealistic disaster.
So if there's no magic fix, and the world is this distorted mess, what's left?
Well, ultimately, it's not a story about aliens. It's a story about friendship, about how that connection to another person, that intense bond between Kadode and Antan is maybe the only thing that keeps you from going insane.
It's about holding on when the sky is falling, just very, very slowly.
Which I think brings us to the question we want to leave you with. If a giant alien mothership appeared over your city this afternoon, but it did nothing, how long would it take for you to stop looking up?
How many days until you just went back to scrolling on your phone?
It's probably fewer than any of us would like to admit. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.